Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this panel, where we will be talking about AI-enhanced defense, the future of security operations centers. And now with the advances in technologies, of course, security operations centers are faced with increased need for some automation, for the need for more information, access to information, and it's key to understand how AI can actually be the tool to go to. So I would like to introduce our panelists today. So we have Fabrice Bru, member of Executive Board of the CESIN and DSI at GROUPEMENT Les Mousquetaires from France. We have Matthew Balser, Director of Sales and Engineering at Sentinel-1, and Sanjay Sharma, Chief Information Security Officer at Zafin. So my first question for the panel will be, what does AI mean to each of you in the context of security operation and the future of SOCs? And how do you define AI and its potential applications?
Yeah, so I think for me, in the simplest of terms, it's something that you can put in front of your security tooling that facilitates the job of your security analysts and your security team. So whether it's Gen AI or automations with machine learning and things like that, it's a set of tooling that automates or adds a level of non-human intelligence to your security tooling to sort of give us some cognitive surplus to play with from our security teams.
AI in security, for me, is basically taking care of all the manual tasks, which are repetitive, making them easy, bringing in automation, reducing mean time to detect, mean time to respond, also AI, which can be used in analysis and reporting. If we have to look at the future for the SOC, what we would be looking from AI is that it should be able to take the whole security operations lifecycle end-to-end. There should be minimal requirement for people to act and work. It should be error-free. It should have a reporting which is predictive. It could also be able to predict the AI techniques by the bad guys and provide recommendations to protect.
Je vais essayer en français.
S'il vous plaît.
Comme ça fait longtemps que je n'ai pas parlé anglais, je suis désolé. Alors, d'abord, pour nous, l'intelligence artificielle, au départ, c'est quelque chose qu'on fait depuis longtemps, en fait, dans les solutions, puisqu'on parle beaucoup d'intelligence artificielle aujourd'hui, mais à la base, on pourrait aussi parler de machine learning, où on a énormément de solutions qui, aujourd'hui, utilisent ce type de moteur et qui sont très utilisées dans nos SOC. Donc finalement, on a tous aujourd'hui en tête l'envie de parler d'intelligence artificielle sous la forme d'un LLM ou générative pour les SOC. J'en ai pas encore totalement vu, mais dans un premier temps, on est plutôt sur une approche par machine learning. Alors, au sein du CESIN, qui est effectivement un club de CISO ou de RSSI en France, voilà, composé de 1000 RSSI à peu près de toutes les grandes sociétés françaises. On a travaillé l'année dernière sur cette thématique lors de notre congrès. Et en fait, on en a ressorti 4 thématiques majeures à travailler. La première, c'est que l'intelligence artificielle pourrait nous permettre d'automatiser un certain nombre de fonctions et de diminuer surtout les problématiques de faux positifs que l'on peut avoir ou que nos SOC peuvent rencontrer aujourd'hui dans le traitement des événements. Donc voilà, on a beaucoup d'événements qui remontent et avant de les traduire en incidents, on s'aperçoit souvent qu'il y a une déperdition des événements que l'on reçoit, qui ne sont pas tous vrais. Les levées de doute ne démontrent pas un réel incident. Peut-être que l'intelligence artificielle, et sûrement l'intelligence artificielle, va nous aider à traiter cette problématique. La deuxième, c'est de effectivement continuer aussi à profiter des avancées du machine learning et donc comment dirais-je, de la détection comportementale. On voit bien aujourd'hui que nos systèmes sont en mesure de comprendre le mode de fonctionnement traditionnel d'un PC, d'un serveur, d'une application, et au contraire peut lever une alerte dès lors que le fonctionnement n'est pas habituel. Une connexion à des heures imprévues, une modification de paramétrage qui n'est pas reliée, par exemple, à un numéro de change, etc., etc. Donc, on voit bien arriver ce genre d'opportunités. La troisième, c'est aussi de pouvoir plus facilement prioriser la correction des incidents de grande importance. Donc, avec l'intelligence artificielle, on pourrait très bien avoir la classification de nos incidents. Et du coup, dans la myriade d'événements qui arrivent, on aura forcément une aide sur la classification de la nature de l'événement qui arrive, qui permettra aux équipes de prioriser leurs interventions sur l'ensemble du système d'information. Et enfin, le Graal, c'est vraiment de disposer d'une intelligence artificielle LLM, donc vraiment un moteur d'interrogation qui va nous permettre de gagner énormément de temps lorsqu'on a un incident avéré, et en particulier sur des incidents majeurs, voire des crises, de retrouver le nom de l'interlocuteur métier. En fait, quand on est dans des très grandes organisations très décentralisées, ce n'est pas toujours évident d'avoir un annuaire à jour de la personne que l'on doit contacter. Donc l'IA va certainement, enfin la partie LLM va permettre aux équipes du SOC, en particulier si celui-ci est externalisé, de retrouver ces informations-là d'une part. Ça va aussi nous permettre très rapidement d'anticiper quelle est la prochaine étape de l'attaque, puisqu'en fait, en interrogeant l'intelligence artificielle générative, on aura aussi la possibilité de savoir quelle est l'architecture du système d'information, par où passent les flux, et donc corréler avec la CTI, par exemple, nous permet de savoir quelle est la prochaine étape de cette attaque s'il s'agit d'une attaque de la part d'une organisation cybercriminelle connue. Voilà un petit peu, j'ai été un peu long, je m'en excuse, et en français.
Non, oui,
mais voilà un petit peu ce qu'au sein du CESIN, l'ensemble des RSSI travaillent autour des problématiques d'intelligence artificielle dans le SOC.
Thank you, Fabrice. But you answered my next question, which was, what are some examples of the AI-based solutions you deployed already in your security operations? So maybe Sanjay would like to give an example.
Hello? Hello? Okay, it works. So in present scenario, we are leveraging AI to minimize the false positives and remove the noise. Our tooling, our tools give a lot of alerts, and with AI, we are able to bring down the false positives, and what we have achieved is minimum escalations on where we need to take action or remediate, and minimum false positives. The other thing which within our organization we are able to use artificial intelligence is for recommendations and the actions which are required to be taken. So while the tool, the SIEM tool which we have, or the tools which we have, they have their own analytical capability and it brings in recommendations. But when we have to put it in the context and understand what needs to be done, we are using AI to get those recommendations and take actions on that. The third thing which is really becoming useful is on reporting. So while the tools separately give point-in-time data points, also some analysis, but when you want to correlate amongst different tools and get some analysis into what's happening on infrastructure and what can be seen, and even if you want to take that to your leadership, that is where we are using artificial intelligence for now.
So, I mean, SentinelOne certainly does use AI because we eat our own dog food, but where we're seeing customers adopt this is, I think the threat landscape has changed a little bit from sort of man-made attacks to man-led attacks, where there's a lot of interaction with the adversary, their hands to keyboard acting against your defenses. So the block and detect technologies, although still very necessary, cannot stand alone. And so we need to start analyzing data at a very rapid rate, looking at the actual telemetry coming off our systems, coming off our networks, to really defend ourselves. This is beyond the human capacity. I don't know about any of you, but I can only read about 100 lines of logs a minute. An AI can read 100 million, 100 billion lines of logs in that same amount of time. So what we've done is we've actually put a generative AI in front of our, call it a SIEM, call it a data lake, call it some data repository where your security logs are coming in. So we've put our AI in front of that, where any human can ask it to do its job and essentially analyze those logs at a rate far faster. So it gets faster detection, faster understanding of the anomaly, and then actually puts you in a position to proactively react to what's going on.
Thank you, Matthew. Do you have anything else to add, Fabrice?
Alors en fait, nous, ce qu'on a effectivement d'ores et déjà implémenté, c'est plutôt effectivement la capacité de machine learning et l'automatisation de la réponse. On a la possibilité aujourd'hui, effectivement, sur un certain nombre d'incidents qui sont assez chronophages. Alors, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas le groupement Les Mousquetaires, juste pour présenter, c'est à peu près 4500 magasins de la grande distribution en France qui réalisent un chiffre d'affaires de 55 milliards d'euros. Et donc, en fait, on a aujourd'hui, on traite environ 9 téraoctets par jour d'informations dans le SOC. Et en fait, notre intérêt, c'est de effectivement couper tous les bruits et couper tous les fausses positifs. En revanche, là où je suis un peu en décalage avec ce qui vient d'être dit, c'est que en fait, c'est vrai que l'intelligence artificielle nous permet de traiter énormément d'incidents, mais pour traiter des incidents, il faut aussi des ressources. Et on n'a pas nécessairement toujours un nombre de collaborateurs suffisant, d'analystes SOC suffisants pour traiter ces quantités d'incidents. Donc on voit malgré tout que bien qu'on ait de l'intelligence artificielle, la durée moyenne de traitement d'un incident n'a pas diminué énormément en fait.
Super. What are the challenges you have experienced when implementing AI? And how long ago have you started using AI? Since when?
So first of all, there's a natural resistance to AI, thinking that is it a perfect solution? And AI totally depends on the modeling, right? How it is modeled and what is the outcome. We're talking about AI hallucinations, right? Which are the wrong results which come out of AI. So there's a worry around the outputs of AI, whether they really mean the correct thing and that's the right thing to do or not. Then there are concerns around AI risk. So what kind of data AI is using, how it is being interpreted, and when AI is giving an output, does it have a bias, or is it fair? The third thing which we are seeing as a challenge is when you want to get AI, it impacts the budget, right? So because you want to get, for Sentinel-1, you want to get advanced tools, you want to get more modules, there's a concern around the budget and the business value, what it is bringing. So it's not easy to immediately bring the value of AI to our leadership. And even adoption of AI is not a switch of a button, because even if you get an AI tool, it has to be trained, modeled, and it should be able to produce the right outputs, which is beneficial and correct for the organization. So these are the challenges which we've been seeing. And to your question, when we started using AI, we started using AI when our SIEM tool provided us, like last year, when really AI caught on. We started using it at that point of time. And then we have been trying to build rules and modeling to advance that.
Yeah, so Sentinel-1 has existed for about 13 years. So we've been using AI for 13 years. It's actually the foundation of what we've built around our EDR and endpoint protection suite. But in terms of the challenges, I think we're seeing our customers come to us with exactly the same challenges Sanjay mentioned: data protection, bias, hallucination. But there's a fourth one that we're seeing a lot that has been, I think, the binge in the security industry around AI, and that is context, right? LLMs were not built specifically for security. So as an example, if you go to ChatGPT right now and you ask it about Lockbit, it may or may not refer you to DeWalt's website for a drill bit that can get through a lock in your front door. But if you ask a purpose-built, contextualized, security-only AI about Lockbit, it should not return any results about the weather or DeWalt's really cool drill bit. It should return results about your security data. And it should be focused only on that pre-populated security data lake that only has security data in it. So what we've done at Sentinel-1 to come and sort of address that challenge is you can layer in LLMs. So you can layer in the models that Sanjay was referring to, and you can have the first one say, okay, Matt's question or Matt's prompt about Lockbit is specifically always about security. So how do I take a question about Lockbit and contextualize it into something that is only security related? So the first LLM does that. The second LLM goes, okay, now that I understand this is about security, how do I turn that into a language that a security query would understand? And then you can layer in other ones that convert it to your own query language to actually interrogate the data that you have. But without those layers and without that pre-contextualization, well, you'll get a lot more hallucination. You'll get a complete miss on the bias. And the data protection thing as a security company for us has always been we wouldn't have gone down an AI path if we thought it would risk our customers' data. So all of those things play into it. But I think you have to address all of those things to gain the trust, because I think there is this somewhat general mistrust of AI in general. Yeah, for sure.
Fabrice, you have something to add?
Ouais. Je vais vous laisser remettre vos casques. Alors, les challenges qu'on a rencontrés sur la mise en œuvre de l'intelligence artificielle, alors, au sein du groupement Les Mousquetaires, il y a énormément de projets autour de l'intelligence artificielle, mais qui sont orientés métiers, qui sont orientés sur la connaissance du client, sur l'amélioration de notre chaîne d'approvisionnement. Alors, pas la supply chain au sens numérique, c'est comment j'améliore mon approvisionnement du meilleur colis vers le magasin. Comment je connais mieux mon client, comment je fais de la bonne chalandise dans mon magasin en fonction de mon contexte régional. Tout ça pour dire quoi? Pour dire que l'intelligence artificielle, chez nous, elle va être drivée par le métier. Et l'intelligence artificielle au service de la cybersécurité, quand même quelque chose qui va arriver un petit peu à la fin. Donc, de notre côté, on subit un petit peu l'intelligence artificielle, ou du moins on en prend l'opportunité, grâce effectivement aux fonctionnalités qui sont incluses dans les équipements de cybersécurité que l'on prend. Donc aujourd'hui, comme je vous l'ai dit, alors il se trouve qu'on est client SentinelOne. Hein, on a déployé beaucoup d'agents SentinelOne dans le groupement. Et du coup, on bénéficie d'ores et déjà des fonctionnalités de machine learning. Et puis, on a testé également les fonctionnalités d'intelligence artificielle qui nous sont proposées via la plateforme. Et puis, on a changé cette année de SIEM, ou de SIEM en anglais. Donc, on est passé sur une nouvelle technologie également qui embarque une composante LLM et intelligence artificielle générative. Et donc, on va commencer effectivement à tester en fin 2025 pour une implémentation possible en 2026. Parce que 2025, on a encore un périmètre énorme d'investigation cyber et de scénarios de risque à aller chercher. Et moi, mon focus, c'est avant tout de protéger l'actif du groupement.
Super, thank you. So going back to Sanjay's mentioning about the importance of presenting the AI as a solution to board of directors, to the decision makers, for them to see value. So what are the best practices or advice you can share to actually demonstrate value to the organization that can help meet business objectives, protect data, and improve operations?
Go first. So one thing I learned about AI is there's an AI risk, trust, and security framework, right, which talks about the data governance, the data modeling, adversarial testing on the data modeling, which really helps to set up a framework which can bring trust for the leaders. Now, if we have, in my organization, if I am rolling out AI for anything, I would typically start with the POC environment. I'll understand the challenges and the use cases where they think is a risk, and we'll validate against that model to ensure that there's a trust and acceptance on what we are trying to do. The second thing is about the business value. So the business value can only come in if it's for a company when it saves costs. So when you start using AI, you can demonstrate that your resources, your team is making less mistakes. You are able to get more work out of the same team and their efficiencies, which is beneficial for the company. Once we take this approach, the leaders, they are able to agree, and we are able to move forward on rolling out AI.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll tell a very quick story. My daughter used AI, specifically ChatGPT, to write a paper for her. of course, hands it in. All the schools have detection capabilities now, so they immediately detect that she used ChatGPT and they give her a 0. Unfortunately, they didn't know what her father did for a living. So I had to explain to both the teacher and the board something that I think we can use in business and explain to our boards, right? And it was the lesson of cognitive surplus, right? A lot of companies are making the mistake of trying to put in front of you this ROI story around AI. And you bring that to your board and you say, look, it could save us this many people and we'll not have to hire that headcount that you approved last month. It's not that. First of all, there was no one to fill that headcount. 2, if you have people that are good at security, don't lose them. And the third thing is, what you really can do with AI is make those people you already have in-house that much better. And yes, to Sanjay's point, there's some cost savings there. There's some things that they can do more. But the most important lesson here is they can be more proactive in security. We have been chasing the rabbit forever. Security professionals have forever been on the losing side of the cyber battle. We don't defend attacks, we respond to attacks. AI is the opportunity to finally be proactive, to use the surplus of time and brain power that our analysts have to actually look ahead, put us in a better position for resilience. So if I were to talk to any board, that's how I would approach it. Don't we want to be in a position where we are actually finally defending proactively? AI is the opportunity to do that if we deploy it and use it in the right ways.
Very inspiring. Please.
Non, j'ai pas grand-chose à rajouter, si ce n'est qu'effectivement, la manière dont on appréhende les projets d'intelligence artificielle chez nous, c'est effectivement de mettre en place des... En fait, c'est long. Mettre en place un POC, c'est surtout mettre en place des phases d'entraînement de la donnée. Donc, je vous rejoins en fait sur ce point-là. La deuxième chose, c'est que l'intelligence artificielle n'apporte pas de valeur ajoutée. Ou du moins, la valeur ajoutée qu'elle apporte, c'est de l'automatisation sur un très gros volume de données. En revanche, réfléchir à des scénarios de risque, des scénarios de fraude, des chemins d'attaque, ça reste de l'intelligence humaine. Et effectivement, l'intelligence artificielle aujourd'hui, telle qu'on la vit dans notre quotidien, elle nous permet de traiter tout un tas d'incidents sans valeur pour permettre à mes analystes sécurité de se concentrer sur des levées de doute qui sont un petit peu plus ardues et qui nécessitent parfois un petit peu de jus de cerveau que l'intelligence artificielle n'a pas, heureusement.
Thank you so much. In the interest of time, I'm going to give an opportunity to the audience to ask any follow-up questions. We have about 10 minutes for those, so I welcome any questions, please.
First, I would like to thank the panelists. It's very insightful. Matthew, you mentioned the importance of context. I guess my question would be, how do you ensure that you work with the right data set or data lake to produce the right benefits for the company?
Yeah, so I can only obviously talk about Sentinel-1 and what we've done to ensure that. So, it comes back to the hallucination thing and the data security thing. So for us, what we've done is each and every customer's instance of what we call Purple AI, which is our generative AI, sits only in front of their data. It does their Gen AI does not learn off any other customer's data. It does not bleed into any other customer's data. It's not fed additional data to give context to that customer. So it is looking at their data lake, their telemetry, their logs, and we are training it outside that and not training it on the data. And I think that's how we sort of give that sense of security and not allowing it to bleed over into anybody else's.
Thank you, Matthew. Next question, please.
Alain Bouillet, donc le directeur général du CESIN. J'ai une question pour Mathieu. Maybe in English? Ok. Comment vous protégez l'IA que vous embarquez dans vos solutions contre les attaques d'empoisonnement et toutes les attaques connues d'IA? Comment vous faites pour la protéger?
Yeah, so I understood the question in French. I'll answer in English. So you asked, how do we protect that back-end data? How do we protect the intelligence that we have within our system? So, I mean, I think it starts partially with us, I mentioned it off the top, eating our own dog food, right? Every part of the Sentinel-1 infrastructure is protected according to certain standards in security. But when it comes to the customer data and the specific intelligence that we're using on the AI side, again, it comes down to putting in those guardrails on customer data, having specific data practices, and not compromising those because we wanted to put AI in front of something, right? So from an agent or a customer's data or a specific function of our system, we follow things like SOC 2 and all these other compliances, but not just because we want to be compliant, because there's a certain standard of protecting any kind of infrastructure. So we put that in first place, and then we help customers understand that there is a shared responsibility there. So, something as simple as password protection and access protection, we try and help customers understand that your weakest link will be giving someone too easy access and too much permission. So that's where we sort of hand off that shared responsibility protecting everything we do.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for the question. Anybody else? I welcome questions. Okay, so my next question for the panel would be, what are the key takeaways the audience need to leave with when at the end of the session?
Yeah, so I'll share one last thought. I read a very great study recently where they interviewed a bunch of CISOs, and 91% of the CISOs said, yes, I am currently using AI in my SOC to help. They interviewed again that 91% and asked them, how are you using AI? And 65% of them didn't know. So before you buy something from me or anybody else selling AI, understand what goals you want to accomplish by putting something like AI into your SOC, and make sure that the person selling you the AI has the same goals for you. And if they do, well then they're helping you get better. If they don't, move on to the next guy with AI on their poster.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, Sanjay?
Yeah, so one takeaway I would suggest is that complete reliance on artificial intelligence is not the correct thing. We are still maturing in artificial intelligence, but that doesn't stop us from using it because it is a business enabler. It helps to reduce cost, workload, automation, and all that. But it also enhances the pace of the organization at which it moves. And as we grow, so the aim should be to adopt AI carefully and keep moving forward and keep the pace. And within a couple of years, AI will be like fully autonomous, taking care of all the end-to-end needs on cybersecurity. Thank you.
Alors, pour moi, les takeaways, ou du moins les opportunités qu'offre l'intelligence artificielle, c'est surtout d'être en mesure de traiter effectivement tous les incidents qui ont très peu de valeur et qui sont en très grande quantité. C'est aussi et surtout pour moi l'opportunité de finalement de continuer à créer de l'emploi et avoir aussi de l'intelligence humaine pour réfléchir à quelles sont les prochaines étapes de tentatives de fraude qu'on peut avoir sur du digital ou dans des magasins ou dans des bases logistiques ou dans des usines. Et c'est-à-dire que mes analystes vont passer plus de temps à travailler là-dessus et l'intelligence artificielle va les décharger de tout un travail chronophage de levée de doutes qui ont très peu de valeur. La deuxième, qui est aussi intéressante et qu'on a vu fonctionner aussi chez nous, c'est un peu le côté prédictif, c'est-à-dire ce que je disais tout à l'heure sur la combinaison entre mes logs, mon écosystème d'entreprise que je connais, que j'ai fait apprendre à l'intelligence artificielle, ma CTI, qui derrière est capable de m'expliquer, par exemple, sur une attaque en cours, est-ce que je risque d'être concerné ou pas? Est-ce que ce système existe chez moi ou pas? Et quand je suis sur une attaque, de me dire, bah, voilà, avec ce groupe cybercriminel-là, dans ce contexte d'entreprise-là, eh bien, votre prochaine étape, ça va être ci, ça va être ça va passer par un serveur Windows ou par un serveur Linux, ça va ressortir sur Internet, etc., etc. Donc, ça va m'accompagner dans le prédictif. Donc, je trouve que ça, c'est aussi intéressant. Donc, ça va surtout nous permettre d'éliminer les bruits, comme vous disiez, d'éliminer les faux positifs et surtout de créer de l'emploi, et c'est ça qui est intéressant.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights, wisdom, experience. Thank you, Matthew, Sanjay, and Fabrice for being here, and the audience for your time and interest in the topic. Thanks, everyone.